In addition to being able to create bot answers one by one, there is a capability to import answers into your bot in bulk from a CSV file. Now this can be very easily managed by going to Bots, Answers and clicking Import Answer, but let's rewind a bit and show exactly what the sheet needs to be set up as in order for this to work. Now let's head to a sheet. Now we're actually going to need, I think it's 5 or 6 columns from the top of my head, and I am going to use headers which we'll remove before we import this. In column A we're going to need the title of our answer. In column B we are going to need our questions. In column C we're going to basically do an and or here. We're either going to be using column C or D, and basically we're going to be saying for the answer called this title, and if these questions come in, then respond with either a message or a skill. So these two will always be filled, but then it'll either be C or D. And finally, we're going to have a tags column, rounding us up to 5 different columns here. Now, let's kind of illustrate this with 1 or 2 very quick examples. Let's say, for example, we wanted to add a question which was, how do I get to campus? And we'll say that this belongs to the visitor center team. How do I get to campus? Perfect. Now notice that I do not need to wrap these in quotation marks. Plain text is totally fine here. Now for the questions, things are ever so slightly different, because if you remember from our previous video, if you watched it, when we're building an answer, we recommend adding at least 10 different questions in. We need to wrap our questions in quotation marks here and comma separated to denote that they're different lines. So we could say, for example, open quotation marks, how do I get to campus? Close quotation marks, comma, and that's going to mean that we're now on the second question. Where do I go to get to campus? We'll say, can you give me the address for campus? And of course, there's a tons of different things you can do to make the styling a little bit easier and more palatable here, but this is the general gist. Open quotation marks, your question, close quotation marks, and comma if you're going to be adding another one. We'll add one more just for the sake of the argument here. Address for campus. So not many answers here, and I'm going against my own reasoning in the video above that we recommend a minimum of 10 of these for the answer to be most efficient within the bot. Now, as mentioned earlier then, we have this answer set up. We've got some questions. We now need to tell the bot how it should respond to this given question. Now, again, here it is very much an and or. You can only choose one of these. Do we respond with a message? If so, what's that message? Or do we respond with a skill? If it's a message, we're going to use column C, and we're basically again going to be having to use quotation marks, and if we're going to want multiple message blocks, we're going to do exactly the same as with the questions, where we're going to have open quotation mark, our first message, close quotation marks, and a comma to denote that we've got separate message blocks here. So we'll say, that's a great question. You can get to campus easily, comma. Our address is 113 Dundas Street, Edinburgh. That's not how you spell it, Edinburgh. I'm not even sure that's our address for Gecko either, but let's roll with it. So very easily there, we basically said in the first message block, say this, and in the second message block, I want you to say this. It's going to be the end result as a spoiler. The final 2 columns then, in this case, I'm going to ignore the skill, but what you would do if let's imagine for a second that we weren't wanting to use a message and instead we had a skill, we would just print the name of the skill. So it could be address, for example, would go here. So the skill name can be plain text. It doesn't, like the title, it does not need to be wrapped in commas. Or quotation marks, sorry. Perfect. Finally, for tags, tags exist up here. They can be added very easily. They're a great way of being able to add a little bit more context around what this is about. So for example, for our campus visit answer, maybe we want to include that this is an address. So we'll do open quotation marks again, and to separate between those different values, we want to insert a comma. So let's say address, location, info. Super. So if I were to import this now, providing I deleted the headers, this would be able to import very, very easily. Let's create a skill just so we can demonstrate what that would look like. It's not going to be the most exciting skill in the world, but I just want to show you how this would work. Let's maybe use a workflow action to assign a lovely tag, international. We'll call the skill international. Perfect. Cool. So we've added a new skill just so we can illustrate this. So we know that for this next question that we're going to be teaching it, the bot should be using this skill. So let's go down the international flavor. We'll call it international, and we'll say Visa. No, that's the credit card, isn't it? Visa help. So again, for the questions, we're going to open quotation marks to denote it's a string here that we're adding, and it's going to be what documents do I need to apply? And we can say, where do I get a visa to study with you? And we can add maybe a third one, visa information help. And I don't need to add a message because we've told Gecko respond with the international skill. And for the tags, maybe we say this is visa, this is international, and this is, I don't know. We'll leave it at that because I can't think of a third one. When you have all of your different questions, and of course this is a really quick example or two that we're running through here, but your spreadsheet will likely have more. There's no limit to the number of these that you can import at any given time. I've seen imports of up to 600, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Keep it small, just to make it easier if there is something wrong with your syntax or formatting. The final sort of steps, so we can demonstrate this, is you want to be getting rid of that header row, otherwise Gecko will think you're trying to import it and it doesn't have the right formatting with the quotation marks. Make sure you save your document as a CSV file, and then let's hop back to Gecko. Let's go to bots and answers, click import answers, and then just simply upload your CSV. Gecko will do its thing. You'll get a little preview of your different answers here, and you can actually click, you can go through these row by row and learn a little bit more, and you can approve them or reject them one by one if you'd like, or you can just say for everything here, approve all changes, confirm import. And what's going to happen is Gecko is going to create those, and we can see we've got all of the information we'd expect. Visitor center, how do I get to campus? We've got those different tags. We've got those 4 different questions, and we have those 2 different messages there. For our international help, we've got just the 2 tags, just 3 questions because I got lazy, and we're responding with that skill that happened to be called international. Now the bot isn't actually going to start using these answers immediately. We do still need to train the bot on these. So it's a really good kind of fail-safe to allow you to check these beforehand before they kind of are pushed live. But when you are ready, just hit retrain bot. And again, as with creating these individually, in about 30 or 40 seconds, you'll get a big green tick, which means that the bot will start using these answers in the wild.